So thank you for attending this special seminar today. And we hope this will be distributed to many centers because it's very unique and very valuable information. Are you ready to have some fun?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
See, everything in Krishna consciousness has to be fun. If it isn't, guess what? You'll simply look to try to squeeze something out into your world and suffer.
Yes.
So, teaching Krishna consciousness and how to serve Prabhupada's mission is fun. And distributing books is fun if you can develop the correct mentality, you see, which means the correct frame of mind, or according to some psychologists, the average psychologist probably believes that the mind is centered out of the brain, but it's not. And you learn new things in Krishna consciousness. The mind is centered out of the heart. Yes. The life force is in the heart and the mind is stable. So the idea is that the mind follows the soul. In other words, that's a deep subject matter. But the point is that we have to, right frame of mind means to open our hearts to receive knowledge about how to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. This is our objective today, and we're inviting whoever sees this video to join into this effort. Now, the first thing is, of course, you people, many who are watching this video, have already been out in the streets. That's not something new, you know. So you have experience. First problem that causes heartache is, no, I'm not interested. So many people say, not interested, not interested, you know. So we have to look at how to overcome objections. The first thing is that you take a humble position. Can you take just a moment, please? Here in India, the approach is something different. And some viewers of this video may be located in other countries, but in India, say, sir or ma'am, we're just trying to help revive our culture, the culture of India. Now, which essential point is, put emphasis on culture. Culture and heritage. This Bhagavad Gita is our heritage, our national heritage. That's a fact. We're not exaggerating. Prime Minister Modi was happily distributing Bhagavad Gita to heads of state all over the world. So we're not exaggerating that it's Bhagavad Gita is the life and soul of India, actually. It's 5,000 years old. And so we will discuss about how to present in the West also, but of course because we're speaking from India to an Indian audience who will be preaching in India. We'll focus on that first. Not interested. So, okay, I can understand. You have to be fast. I understand. Can't you take just please a moment, take a moment please, to help us re-establish the culture of India. You understand?
Yes, madam.
This is a power phrase. I'm going to give you several power phrases today. Power phrase means a phrase that works. Now what you have to do is you have to get your mind, their mind, off of religion. This is really important. They've been brain polluted to believe there's a significant number of people, even in India, that believe that religion is one of the primary causes of trouble in this world. Well, in many cases it may be. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam begins. Dharma Kaitava. We kick out mundane religion. Srila Vyasadeva, the author and compiler of Srimad Bhagavatam, was highly aware that in this age we see every clown who has long hair and earring and can speak very charismatically and all that, and make people feel good, set themselves up as a religionist or professors and all that, who claim to be religionists who don't even know they're not this body. But this Krishna consciousness is so perfect that even a child that can hardly speak can understand we're not this body. I had experience that. I used to be a householder. I have a daughter who's now 42 years old, and when she was a little kid, she could hardly talk, just learning how to talk. She pointed at a dead bird and said, "Spirit, soul gone." Serious, this is true. Spirit, soul gone. Can't even talk. What great big philosophers, Nobel Prize winners, big professors, big academicians and all that. But they can't understand a child that can hardly talk, can understand in Krishna consciousness. That's Prabhupada's power, you can understand. That's his power. How is it possible otherwise that baby can't even hardly talk? And so spirit, soul, God. Such a high concept, and even a baby can understand. Just see, this is a true story, So, they say, not interested. They say, okay, I understand. First thing is, the customer is never wrong. Okay? These pointers are taught in professional training for sales. After all, we're trying to sell the Bhagawat, but not as a business, certainly not. This is Audharya Bhav. Audharya Bhav is distribution. The mode of Mahaprabhu at Benares and distribution. We've got this heavy burden of Bhagavad Gita. You're carrying a sack of Bhagavad Gita. You have to distribute Audharya Bhav. This was Mahaprabhu's mood at Benares. He said, I have a very heavy burden. This holy name of Krishna, I have to distribute. The next thing, this is very important when you're out in the streets full of non-devotees. This is for a point that's very important to remember. Mahaprabhu says, I don't care if they are fit or unfit candidates. This is really important. It's the core basis of our movement. It's the core basis of our preaching. We go out in the streets, they're not devotees out there, most of them. In India, of course, there are thousands of pious Hindus. But still, they're going to be a little arrogant. Bhagavad Gita, yes, I am. I'm having Bhagavad Gita, thank you. I said, okay, you see, the thing they teach you in sales, don't make the customer wrong. Don't make the customer wrong. So you don't argue. You don't argue with the customer. Write this down. Don't argue with the customer. I mean, the public is our quote customer unquote. We're not a business, but this is the go down, the storehouse of the holy name in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So don't argue with the customer. Properly use the word customer also. He used to say, in the 1960s, he used to say, hippies. Hippies are our best customer because the American boys and girls that joined this movement, they were all hippies. The Prabhupada said, hippies are our best customers. But now, if Srila Prabhupada were physically with us, in India, he would say, engineers are our best customers. Of course, it's a different world than America in the West, There's a handful of Indian engineers in the universities. We do some preaching in universities, but not like India, not on the scale of India. So, Audharya Bhav, distribution. Here, you see, there's a different, there are Deshakalapatra considerations in the presentation. In India, actually everywhere, the point is you have to distract these people, get their minds off of religion. Why? Because religion has, in the mind of many people, is something that has caused trouble in this world. We see how much tension there is between Hindus and Muslims, and this old problem. There was tension when the so-called Christians, which were actually rogues disguised as holy soldiers, they were deviated Kshatriyas who headed the Crusades. You've heard of the Crusades? Some king, was arrested. He was a demon actually, but he amassed a large army of mercenaries. Mercenaries means paid soldiers. So where do you get the money to finance the whole thing? Plundering. They go rape the women, plunder the money, burn the villages in the Middle East. So there's some tension still. They haven't forgotten, that was what so-called Christianity, how they treated the Muslims in those days. So now, the idea is that distribution of all kinds of people. Actually, nowadays, a surprising number of Muslims are taking interest in Krishna consciousness. That's a fact. A surprising number of Muslims are starting to chant Hare Krishna. So if the person you talk to happens to be a Muslim, don't just say, "Oh, okay." I won't bother you. That's fine. Go on with your religion.
Okay.
No. See, whatever the customer does is fine. This is the golden rule in sales. So they say, "I'm not interested," and they're usually a little rude about it. No thanks, I'm not interested. You say, "Okay, I understand. Your time is very valuable, sir." But write this down. There are, in sales, professional sales training, they teach that contractions, the words, certain words that are condensed, for some psychological reason are very powerful in sales. Wouldn't it make sense, you ask this semi-hostile person how to disarm them? Wouldn't it make sense if you could help revive our great culture? I call it spiritual nationalism. It sells. Spiritual nationalism sells. I gave a presentation in Pune once before 4,000 youth. And it was a big show. Lots of kirtan, stage show, everything like that. It was supposed to be for young men only, but the ladies were crashing the program because it was so wonderful program, great kirtan, everything was fun. I gave a talk. I put a stress on spiritual nationalism because we have to counteract. You have to presume they've been brain polluted, not brainwashed. They've been polluted as far as brainwashing goes. We were accused of brainwashing the youth around the world, especially in the United States. Prabhupada said, yes, we are washing the brain of all the dirty things. So we don't deny, but generally it means something negative,
Yes.
So brainwashing, brain polluting us. So the people, even of India, have been brain polluted by atheistic propaganda, even from Hindus. That religion is a problem. And if you go to companies, maybe sometime you can get in the door to a company, or you try to get in the door to a company if you can, even if you're on the street, sir, can I visit you at your office? Ask. You're on the streets, and then you might think to yourself, well, I'm part of a party, they've got a truck full of books and this and that, what I could do, No, if the person is interested, say, may I come to your office? even though you're out in the streets, you know. Of course, in the West, not so easy to get an office appointment with a VIP, but then what do you got to lose by trying? In India, it's rather easy, you know. I once went during the Gita marathon. I was told to go to one company. It was a man who was who are those who are wearing the masks all the time, you know? That religion.
Jainis.
Jain, yes. Jain, and Jain is his name and the name of his company. So I was asked to go there to do some fundraising, so fine. So I started out with the understanding that they have been brain polluted into secularism. This is really important. Presume that they're all brain polluted. Presume it. Even if they're pious Hindu. Presume that they're brain polluted. Because they are. They're heart polluted, which is the same as brain polluted, we just explained. The heart comes out of the mind. Not, the mind comes out of the heart, not out of the brain, as is commonly thought in the West. So, I therefore made my whole presentation secular. Distract them from religion. This is really, whether you're talking to an individual or a corporate officer, especially if you're doing a program or you're going to an office, distract them from religion. Because their favorite mantra is, well, if I give to you, they have to give to the Jains, they have to give to this group, that, and Swami and all that. I mean, so our corporate policy is, we just don't donate to religion. And they smile you with a sarcastic smile. Like they're, you know, here's an example of how you greet negativity with a positive energy. When you are hit with negative energy from a potential customer, you don't just whimper and go away like a little puppy I've seen. And if a little puppy is sad, or if you step on its tail, you know, becomes unhappy immediately. So you're doing sales on behalf of Mahaprabhu and on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. Don't ever react with negativity. Golden rule in sales. Don't ever react with negativity. So when they say, if I have to donate to you, if I donate to you, I have to donate to all these other religions, I'll name a few. You know, in India. In America, it's a different, something different, you know, because they don't donate to religion unless they're maybe a Christian. So you say, when they say, well, if I donate to you, then I have to donate to everybody. So our corporate policy is we just don't donate to religion, they say. Then you don't argue with them. Don't argue with the customer. You say, okay, sir or ma'am, I understand. You see, you have to play the role of the world's most understanding person with a smile, always smiling. In sales, you have to always smile. No matter how many times they try to beat you down, you smile. After all, that's the mood of Harida Sakura, is it not? You see? So that's our mission. We're faced with so many hardcore demoniac oppositions and this and that. Simply smile. You know? As Krishna is always smiling when he kills demons. You know, this is God. He could kill a demon or face a demon in a fight and smile. This is our God, you know, we like it. So you smile when they say, if I donate to you, I have to donate to all these other religions. You say, okay. You don't argue. Don't argue. I understand. Now here's the power of this word, the use of contractions. You see, doesn't it make sense? The word doesn't, write it down. Doesn't it, D-O-E-S-N'. Doesn't it make sense to support our culture the culture of India. This is for Indians. Well, later we'll talk about how to incorporate these concepts into preaching in the West also, because not everyone watching this video is going to be Indian or in India. Doesn't it make sense to assist in reviving our culture? Well, what are they supposed to say? No, they can't. See, we're just ambassadors of goodwill. We are ambassadors of goodwill in a world that is full of strife. These are power phrases. Power phrases. We are ambassadors of goodwill in a world that is full of strife. So, wouldn't it make sense if you help support this effort to combat strife in this world? So, they can't say no. They can't. They just can't, you see? So, they're already checkmate and you just started. You know, so, alright, that's great. That's great, you see, whatever they say is great. Customer's always right. You know. That's great. Thank you, and then you thank them. Thank you for understanding, sir. Can I put you down for a case of Bhagavad Gita's? Now here's the shocking truth, is that many times it's easier to sell a case of Gita's than one book. Shocking truth. But I'll prove it to you. So can I put you down for a case? It depends on their attitude and so forth, you know. If they started out really hostile, you may not be able to do that. Can I put you down for a case? No. Alright. How about Bhagavad Gita's? No, I already have Bhagavad Gita. Of course, this is the main, amongst Hindus, or the main objection. I already have Bhagavad Gita. And then you say, that's great, that's wonderful. They expect you to go, oh, phooey. I guess he's not a customer, I guess he's blowing the market. No. That's great. You already have Bhagavad Gita? That means that you appreciate its value. Power phrase. You appreciate its value. Because you already have one. Don't you think it would be worthwhile to share this value with as many persons as possible? You see, don't is a negative word. But here, it's turned around into something positive. Don't you think it makes sense to share this wonderful gift of Bhagavad Gita with as many persons as possible? Unless they're demon, you know, of course if they're demon, they'll just go on harassing you. But if they are marginal, we're mostly talking to marginal people who are materialistic. So don't you think it would be a good idea? Since you know the value of Bhagavad Gita, you already know. Of course, they don't actually know the value of Bhagavad Gita, but we flatter them by suggesting that they already know the value of Bhagavad Gita. Then doesn't it make sense to share the Gita with as many people as possible? So, can I put you down for a case? Pack! No, not interested. Okay, but five books only. Take 5 books, give them to your friends and relatives. Then of course they say, I gave Bhagavad Gita to all my friends and relatives years ago. Right?
Yes, madam.
They already have them. My friends and business associates, everybody has Bhagavad Gita. And that's supposed to shut you up. Instead, that's great. You understand? It's called the power of positive thinking. It works. There was one very famous Christian priest wrote a book called The Power of Positive Thinking. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Very good book. So then, when you're thinking positive, then that positive energy is contagious. Contagious means they become infected with your positive mood. They had no intention of becoming influenced by you whatsoever. Their primary interest was to get rid of you. Instead, you see, you're not following their pattern. You're creating your own pattern. Don't follow their pattern. Their pattern is, okay, sorry to have bothered you, sir or ma'am. That's what they expect. Okay, thanks. No, not so easy. You have to be like a little small doggy who's has a grip on their pants. You know, like that. Think like that. You know, small dog grabs a hold of your pants. It's not so easy to get rid of them, right? You can think like that. I'm like Prabhupada's dog. I'm like Guru Maharaj's dog. You can think like that. So, okay. So your relatives and friends, they already have Bhagavad Gita. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That means they are also appreciating Bhagavad Gita. Since they already have it, they're already appreciating Bhagavad Gita. So then, they're already largely disarmed because you're off script. You're off their script, and you're on your script. You're on your own ground now. They lost territory. You see what I'm saying? Now they're a little confused. They're not sure how to respond because it doesn't fit their model. It's your model, not theirs. That's wonderful. Another power word. That's wonderful. That means they also appreciating the value of Bhagavad Gita. Now, wouldn't it, again, a contraction, wouldn't it be nice to make it possible for even more people to appreciate Bhagavad Gita? As your friends and relatives and business associates are already doing it, wouldn't it be nice? For reestablishing our culture, to Indians you say like that, in America you I was asked to give a presentation on Bhagavad Gita at a high school. This is unique. I don't think this happens very often, if at all, in the West, where the school calls an assembly to hear about Bhagavad Gita. They know perfectly well what the purpose of assembly is, and administrators are happy about it. And there was 400 students at this high school. So they brought together 400 students with the express purpose of hearing about Bhagavad Gita. Not bad. Really don't know how much it happens outside of India, I doubt it. India, a very special place. So, 400 students. So I gave the talk, secular talk, because I knew that although they're high school students, just kids, already they'd been brain polluted into an atheistic secular way of thinking, because that's the way the modern world is. Even in India, even Hindus are semi-atheists nowadays. So, I kept my theme secular. This Bhagavad Gita is one of the oldest books in the world. It's one of the oldest books in the world. It is India's greatest classic. In India, they don't know much about the famous Greek writers and poets like Homer, famous Greek. They don't teach in India. But in the West, of course, they teach because it's a real Western culture. Homer, Aristotle, these are the names of the famous Greek philosophers. Prabhupada was well learned in Western philosophy, so he knew about the Greek philosophers. Socrates knew that we were not this body. So they're the famous Greek philosophers. So this Bhagavad Gita is actually the most famous book in the world. Then their eyes will roll. They'll think, well, aren't you exaggerating a bit? Not really. Why? You're not talking in the West. You're talking to Christians, so that's a different story. You have to put it a little differently. But in India, you can say that there's not really much Christians in your audience. In the West, you can't really say this. Bhagavad Gita is the most famous book in the world. And they may be secretly thinking and Christianly thinking, no, that's dead wrong. The Bible is the most famous book in the world. But when you're talking to Indians, how old is the Bible? You see, less than 2,020 years, because the Bible was compiled by King George. I don't know how many. It was something like 100 years. It was a long, long time after Christ. You understand? So less than 2,000 years. At least a couple of hundred years. In the Middle Ages in Europe, King James compiled what's distributed all over the world today. How old is the Bhagavad Gita?
5,000.
5,000 years.
At least.
It's read by millions and millions of people all over the world. Now it's studied in so many schools and colleges, universities. So therefore it's not exaggeration, is the point. We can truthfully say it's the oldest book in the world. We know that there's other Vedic literatures, Srimad Bhagawat, the Puranas and all that predates Bhagavad Gita, but practically speaking, modern people can think in terms of what predates 5,000 years. They can't think like that. It's the oldest book in the world, the most popular book in the world. It's read by millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people. How many Hindus are there?
7 billion. 7 billion?
Crores, huh?
7 billion, 70 crores, 70, more than 7
70 crores. So if you're talking to Hindus, you can say this Bhagavad Gita is read by 70 crore people. How can you not say it's famous? So you should personally have this in your library, since it's one of the world's most famous books. And it is our life and soul. It's the heritage again. The heritage of India. It's our culture. Keep going back to culture. So by now they've forgotten about religion completely. Religion's not even on their mind because you are washing their brain. You're getting their mind off of religion. It's absolutely necessary. Especially if they say, I know Bhagavad Gita. So the thing is, then this is the world's most famous book. We can say that. Now you see, we can say that. It's fair to say that. And if there's not any Christians in the crowd, you can say it predates the Bible by more than 3,000. It predates the Bible by more than 3,000 years. That's an eye-opener because they don't think about that. Even the Hindus probably, at least secretly, think that the Bible is the most famous book in the world. They're not going to say that because they're supposed to be Hindus. But no,
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita is. Because 3,000 years of reading and publishing before Christ, that's a lot.
Right.
So you could point this out to Hindus if you're in a mixed crowd. I didn't say that at the school, because there
Many
might have been
Christians.
some Christians there. 400 students. So this is our culture. I group myself in with Indian culture, although I'm conspicuously American. This is your culture, you could say, or you could say this is our culture. So the word culture and heritage, those two words are power words. Okay, you repeat them frequently during your talk. This is our culture. This is our heritage. We have to preserve our heritage. We have to preserve. Wouldn't you agree? Even if you're talking to say that. Wouldn't you agree we have to preserve our heritage? We have to preserve our culture before it's lost. Because there's so much pressure coming from westernization all over the world. So then my whole talk was like that. I only spoke for maybe 20 minutes or so to 400 students. I took pledges for 100 Bhagavad Gitas.
Yeah.
In about 20 minutes, I took pledges for 100 Bhagavad Gitas. Now the devotees that came, that drove me there, were completely caught off guard. They hadn't brought enough books. Never crossed their mind that I could sell that many Gitas in 20 minutes. Never crossed their mind. So somebody had to jump in the car, high speed, and rush back to the temple to get more books. And there was a stack of Gitas sitting on the stage, and the children were coming up one after another with the money in their hand. Their lunch money they were spending on Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Such good reaction. They got so jacked up. That's sales. The customer has to get jacked up, jacking up. So they were so enthused, better to say, they were so enthused about Bhagavad Gita. By the time I was done, after only 20 minutes, they spent their lunch money to buy Bhagavad Gita. And there was a queue of students waiting at that stack of Gitas. In the meantime, the devotees are going nuts. They realized they blew it by not bringing. It never crossed their mind I could sell that many Gitas in 20 minutes. Never crossed their mind, But it's history. It's a fact. So now to give you an idea of what you could do on the streets about a home program. You have nothing to lose. I've talked about overcoming objections briefly, but for those that are favorable, are not objecting, like a cow, milk the cow, Don't just think to yourself, oh, he's a nice Hindu man, that's great. For sure he'll take a Gita. No. Write this down, please. Don't think small.
Okay.
Think big. Think big. So start thinking in terms of cases. So we boldly declare that it's easier to sell a case of Gitas than one. You might say, come on, Maharaj. Well, I did it at a home program. I'll tell you the details on that later, but I've already said I sold 100 Gitas in 20 minutes. There must be something to it. So, if you can, when you're talking to somebody who's favorable, but you're, wherever you are, you're on the streets or whatever, then be bold. If they're favorable, be politely bold. And I say, would you like to hold a little party? If they're favorable. Would you like to hold a little party at your home, invite a few friends over, and we can talk about Bhagavad Gita and, like that, you understand? You're thinking, well, that's too hard. No, you haven't tried it. How do you know you haven't tried it? You're in the streets and you're thinking, subconsciously thinking, hey, I'm with a party and the books are in the truck and this and that. If your mind automatically is going to think so many reasons why it won't work. Give up the negativity. Give it up. It will work. All right, you're with a party and the books are in the truck. Fine. But the books don't have to stay in the truck. Your mission is to distribute them. So if you could talk them into going to their home, and they invite just a handful of friends over, then you give a nice talk on Bhagavad Gita and get them jacked up, enthuse them. If you can get just even 6 people to their home, let them serve some refreshments, make it easy for them, because if they're favorable. Somebody hostile is not going to do this. Then if they do it, you sell by the kiss. Don't even think of trying to sell one Gita to this person. Don't even think about it. Now I'm going to tell you the shocking truth. I was invited to go to a home program during the marathon some years ago. It was a nice home belonging to somebody, the wealthy class. And the invitation to devotees to come and talk about Bhagavad Gita, the invitation was given by the adult son who lived in that house. Later I found out that his father, the owner of the house, was hostile to ISKCON. But Yoga Maya, it was funny, Krishna tricked me because nobody bothered to tell me that in advance. So, anybody else have a phone on?
No.
Shut it up. So, they didn't bother telling me that the owner of the house was hostile, because the young man was a devotee, and there were about perhaps 30 people in that gathering, and of course there was some prasad later after my talk. Again, secular talk about this is the pride of India, this is the joy of India, this is our culture, this is our heritage. We have to support it before it's too late. Now, it's a fact, depends where you are, but it's a fact that if you're talking only to Indians, it's a fact, or only to Hindus, it's a fact that unless we move to preserve our culture, in 50 years, Hindus in India will be in a minority. I said that to an outsider once. He said, no, not possible. Not possible, never. Really? Do the math. The Christians are making millions of converts. Or would be more conservative, hundreds of thousands of converts every year. Even right here in Delhi, they're very, very clever. They spy, the Christians spy on ISKCON, do you know that? They spy on ISKCON. They know we're very successful in preaching. So they come to learn from us how to preach. Amazing, isn't it? Fact. So they do pandal programs with music and everything. Sometimes they might have rock music with their hymns and all that. Yes, they're imitating ISKCON. Just see. So then, they've learned how to preach from us. You know. So the number of Christians is increasing. The English word is exponentially, it means very, very fast, high speed every year. There are hundreds of thousands of more Christians in India every year. And as far as Muslims go, their priest says, make more children, make more. So what materialistic lusty man isn't going to say, this is great. My priest is telling me to have no more sex. What lusty man is going to turn that down? So then I was shocked after about 8 years of being in South India. When I returned, I said, my God, the number of Muslims has increased hugely. Places like Jaipur, you're going to Jaipur, you'll see now large Muslim population has developed in Jaipur. So it wasn't like that 10 years ago. No way. It used to be a Hindu city through and through. Well, not a Hindu city. It used to be a Radha Govinda city.
Yes.
Not a Hindu city. Radha Govinda city through and through. Now there's large numbers of Muslims. We're going to explain this to people. So this is our last stand to preserve our culture and heritage. Again, back to culture and heritage. By this time, they've forgotten about the religion. They've got their sympathy by now, you see. So, I was talking like this at this home program, about 30 guests, maybe 25 guests. And so, I asked them, the English word is rhetorically, that means, I asked them like a question, you know, doesn't it make sense to try to preserve this great culture? So, you start high. One of the golden rules is, start high. Don't start low in book sales. If you have the opportunity to sell cases of books, which I'll tell you about, this is a home program. Cases of books. There's 30 books in a case. If you're out sweating blood and you know, as Vaisheshika says in his video, hit the pavement, that's American slang. American slang, that means get out and get your feet on the road, you know, and talk to people, you know. But he forgot that the whole world doesn't understand American slang. Hit the pavement, that's what he means when he says it in his video. Get out on the streets. So, but when you're in somebody's home, you have a huge advantage, you know. So, you start high. All right, we agree that we have to try to save this great culture, the greatest culture in the world. Write that down. Refer to Indian culture as the greatest culture in the world. It is. America is not the greatest culture in the world. Sorry, folks. So then, to help preserve this great culture, you ask for volunteers. And so, you point at somebody, sir or ma'am, can I put you down for 10 cases? 10 cases? Well, what will I do with 10 cases? They'll just sit. This is the objection. Supposing I have 10 cases. Supposing I buy 10 cases of Bhagavad Gita. I'll just sit in my basement and gather dust. That's all. Now, you have to explain to them how they can distribute Bhagavad Gita far and wide. You tell them, you can go to Rotary clubs. There's these private clubs. Rotary Kiwanis. In the West they have a club called Moose. I don't think they have in India. Lions Club, we've got. Yes, and Rotary Club you have. just to digress a little bit, it's very interesting how I went with Swami to a 5-star hotel, and he was the speaker at a convention of Rotary Club. The chairman of the Rotary Club was a devotee. So was the vice chairperson, a nice Vaishnavi. She had the guts to appear. She's vice chairman, and she also spoke before the group. Not only wearing a sari, but wearing Vaishnava tilak. Pretty good. Haribol. That's the beauty of India. And he was dressed in a suit and tie. But I was shocked when we left, dressed in suit and tie, and the entrance was 5-star hotel. He bows down and offers his obeisances as we were about to drive away. That's India, But in the West, we can't expect that's going to happen. Anyways, so I said, please support this effort to revive is another power word, revive our culture before it's too late, you see. And you give the example, if it's Hindus only, that how there are huge numbers, crores of Hindus, say, Christians and Muslims coming up like anything. So, they say 10 cases are, Canada, okay. 5 cases. So, maybe somebody will raise their hand, Like you keep lowering the number to where they will strike.
Actually, we're running out of time. Our prasadam started and running out of time.
It'll be there. We have to complete it. So, taking pledges. So I took pledges from individual. How many can I put you down for, ma'am? Can I put you down for 3 cases? You can drop the number of cases so that it becomes more doable. So you say, how you could distribute these books. You give them to community service organizations, I've named a few, hospitals, libraries, schools are very eager to get them. We've distributed crores and crores or hundreds of thousands of Bhagavad Gitas to schools that receive them happily. And so, that day I did this high school program, 100 kids bought Bhagavad Gita. Out of 400, that's 1 out of 4 bought Bhagavad Gita. That's pretty good. That means the secular approach works. It works. So then, that day, by just, you talk to each individual in the room, get them, inspire them about saving the culture of India. That day I took pledges in only about 30 people there. I took pledges for 30 cases. 30 cases. 30 cases in half an hour. That's 900 Bhagavad Gitas in half an hour. True history. You understand why I'm saying it's easier to distribute cases of Bhagavad Gitas than sweating blood on the streets and exhausting yourself and smelling the exhaust from cars. It's easier at home program. So if you can grab a home program, do it. Because don't worry about the party. They're not going to leave without you. Understand? It's not going to leave without you. So then, this is the opportunity. As far as in the West, they're not so interested. They can make a presentation, cultural presentation also. This is the finest book to understand the culture of India. You haven't said anything about religion, you see. Nothing. I never even said Krishna's name in these presentations. Somebody, devotees might think, is that going too far? No, because it distracts people into
Lazy.
stopping to think about religion. You say, I can't think about religion. And it worked. I told you, 1 out of 4 students bought Gitas. That's a huge percentage. And at the home program, 30 cases in half an hour. 900 Bhagavad Gitas in half an hour. It's true history. I actually did it. You know. By taking pledges, you can take pledges. So if you can get yourself a home program, perfect. Because don't worry about taking time off the party. They're going out there. They're distributing books. If you go to a home program, and if you can sell 10 cases at a home program, that's 300 Bhagavad Gitas. You're going to do 300 Bhagavad Gitas in an hour on the street? Not really. You see, that's why you want to try and book a home program. This will work in the West also, home programs, although it's a little tougher than India. India, it's easy to book a home program. But in the West, you'd have to interest them in the... Would you like to learn more about the culture of India? This is the finest book to learn everything you need to know about the culture of India. Culture. You understand? It works. Get them off religion. For Westerners, they have to... This is the greatest class. Westerners know about the Greek classics. Indians don't, but Westerners know Homer, Aristotle, Socrates, Prabhupada, Socrates. There's big philosophers. So this way, in the West, opportunity to learn about the culture of India in a home program. They have, internationally, there's what's called Tupperware. Tupperware is very high quality kitchen goods. Every kind of utensil, pots, pans, spoons, everything. Tupperware is called, very famous. It's called direct sales. They don't sell in stores. You can't buy it in stores. It's direct sales. So what the ladies do is, they hold a Tupperware party. And so they invite their friends and relatives and everybody, and the company teaches them how to do it, you know. Make a list of all your friends, relatives, contacts, this, that, and invite them probably on a Sunday, you know, to come. And they know it's a Tupperware party, and you serve refreshments and all that, researchers on them, you know. They buy, because they knew coming in that they were coming to buy. They had to buy something, you know, if they accept the invitation, they're supposed to buy it. But we have Bhagavad Gita. And so everybody at a Gita party will walk away with some Gitas. But if you're in a home setting, same thing. Can you put you down? Can I put you down for 5 cases? You can distribute to schools, colleges, jails also, orphanages, everywhere. There are thousands of opportunities for this distribution. Okay, thank you very much. Now you will learn how to distribute cases of Bhagavad Gitas, even from the street. There are some people who will take an appointment. I'm not saying that thousands, but some will take an appointment. And if you could sell 5 cases at one home, 5 times 30, 150, how long will most devotees, when they're on the street, are happy if they can distribute 15, 20 Gitas in a day. So if 5 cases, 5 times 30, 150. And they're getting off easy at 5 cases. Or even 1 case, 30. And that same devotee might have trouble distributing 30 Gitas on the street in the whole day. They might think I did really good today, Prabhu, so I sold 30 Gitas. Fine, it's only 1 case. That's great, but it's only 1 case. So if you could distribute half a dozen cases in an hour, why not? I've told you it's very feasible, very doable. Okay, thank you very much. Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada Nande.
Hari Hari Bol.